Good evening, thanks for joining us. Thunder Bay Fire Rescue were called to a home on Jean Street after reports that smoke was coming from the back of the structure. The building was reported to be vacant and crews advanced hand lines through the rear to the main floor and then to the second and third floor. The fire had moved into the walls and a defensive approach had to be taken. As the fire reached the roof, an aerial ladder was called in along with 5 pumpers and 28 firefighters. Platoon Chief Larry Warner says they could be working on the house well into this evening.
Since the day shift took over from the night shift, obviously you can see the weather conditions have been a real concern, difficulties with freezing and whatnot. The fire is under control but not declared out yet because the house is encrusted in ice, which is really making it difficult. And so that's what we're doing now. We're working overhauling the structure and trying to get it to where we can declare the fire actually out.
Warner says the house is likely a total loss and his crews will be on scene for the better part of the day. The fire is still under investigation. Well, the City of Dryden is trying to rise above its financial crisis and build a 2014 budget with a 0% tax increase this year. That's no small task considering the city estimates its operating deficit at around $3 million. Dryden accepted nearly all of the consultant's recommendations in its operational service review and is now moving on to address 13 savings opportunities relating to staffing, which were discussed in camera. After $1 million in staff reductions last year, the city had to pay out $500,000 in severance pay. According to Chief Administrative Officer Andre Larrabee, KPMG consultants didn't make those calculations for future staff changes, and now it's up to his transition team.
What we have to do is do the proper calculation. We're in discussions with our lawyers to ensure that we are not shortchanging anybody and making an offer that is not reasonable. After 23 years in working for the city, the last thing you want to have is put somebody out the door with a check of 2 weeks' payment.
Dryden is aiming to release its 2014 budget in February. Sensing municipal budget cuts could deeply impact or even close the Dryden Museum this year. The museum's new board is taking a proactive approach in appealing to City Council and the community. John Thompson has that story.
When past members of the Dryden Museum Board heard the city would be undergoing an operational service review, 6 of them returned on an activist platform to save the facility that saw only 6 visitors a day in 2013. Although the review's recommendations spared the museum, the board is applying pressure to keep it open as the city plans its 2014 budget. Sharon McGilvery is the board's vice chair. She argues the museum's real value is holding the past in trust for future generations.
We do understand that the city is looking at dollars and cents, but we feel that the museum has greater value outside dollars. One of the statements we have used recently is once our history, if that were to happen, once your history is lost, it can never be retrieved.
Dryden's Chief Administrative Officer Andre Larrabee says decisions on the museum's future haven't been finalized, but even if it were to be closed, it would take years for the closure costs to balance the savings.
When we look at what really it's going to cost to close the museum and dispose or properly store the artifacts that are there, there's a lot more to it than saying we're going to close and save money this year. A lot of cost saving will be over the next 2 to 3 years.
As it launches a membership drive and pledges to new fundraising activities, the museum holds a strategic plan that expired over a year ago. The museum board says it can't create that plan until it knows if the stories of Dryden's past will be told in the city's future. John Thompson, TBT News.
When you hear Rockathon, you might think music. But if you swung by the Griffin Barracks today, you would know it's a lot quieter than that. Cadet groups from all around Thunder Bay raised food items for Shelter House. Over 100 cadets from 6 units in Thunder Bay were sitting in rocking chairs like these for the past 24 hours. They've been rocking out to raise food donations for the Shelter House. To keep the kids up all night long, event organizers brought in dancers, DJs, a pipe and drum band, all in order to keep their spirits up.
One of the aims of the Air Cadet program is to promote citizenship. So to give back to a community that supports our program so much is very important to us, and being able to do it in a way where all the cadets are participating together as one team means a lot to them and a lot to us.
The goal is to raise 1 ton of food to help the Shelter House kickstart 2014. A library is usually a quiet place where you can kick back and do some reading. But if you stop by the Brodie Street Library tonight, Mike Albanese can tell us you would have saw something completely different.
Every day you walk by tons of people, and most of the time you never get to know their story. An event called a Human Library plans to change that. Why is it called a Human Library, you ask? Because the people are the books.
The whole point of it is to give people an opportunity to come to the library and check out a human book. And what you get to do with that book is you get to sit with them for 20 minutes and have a conversation. So it really gives people an opportunity to sit down and talk to somebody who has a very different lifestyle or a different career path or different experiences from them. Then they might never have an opportunity other than something like today to meet someone like that.
One of the human books was Lieutenant Colonel Jeff Abthorpe, and he thinks the event is great because it grants you a new perspective of people and can help you grow your knowledge like a library should.
I think the unique nature of this opportunity is fantastic. The ability to bring such a diverse panel together and give average Thunder Bay citizens an opportunity to come on out and just ask questions, to engage them in conversation, to demystify the stigmas of their respective titles that they have.
The Human Library had everyone from an ex-criminal offender, a strong man, a Muslim man, a Sierra Leone immigrant, an Aboriginal student, a radio personality, a Paralympic athlete, to the Afghanistan veteran Jeff Abthorpe. Some topics of conversation seem off limits, but as Abthorpe puts it, the books are meant to be read.
I'm a bit of an open book. I'll talk to them about whatever they want, whether it's my training, my background, my experiences overseas. I was asked to be a member of this panel because I'm an Afghan vet, so I'm fully expecting to answer questions that pertain to my operational tour when I was in combat in Afghanistan in 2006, and answer the hard questions that they may have for me.
The event had plenty of participants and taught everyone not to judge a book by its cover or a person by the way they look. Mike Albanese, TBT News.
City officials announced Tuesday that they had identified Thunder Bay Live as their chosen partner to help the city move forward in developing the 5,700-seat event center. For our TB News Watch question of the day, we wanted to know if you think the new partnership will help spark final approval of the event center proposal.
I think it will be bring more tourism to Thunder Bay. We have a very beautiful city that people need to see, and we have a really big hockey base here, so it'd be totally cool to see that.
You know, having an entertainment center is good. It would bring a bunch of sports teams and such to Thunder Bay and give everybody a place to go.
Yeah, I do. I don't really sure what the event center is going to provide or anything like that, but it'll be good for Thunder Bay in general, just because we need more things here, and an event center would really help the youth.
I think it would be good. You could attract bigger names, more headliners, and then just raise money for the city.
Well, I think it's a nice idea as long as that we can afford it. I mean, I hate to see us go in the hole. Like we're overexpending right now, I feel. And I just think that if we can afford it, build it. But if we can't, wait till we can afford it.
Well, it was an exciting night at a Winnipeg swim meet. A Winnipeg man set 2 world records at Masters swimming. Oh, and did we mention he's over 100? Cameron McIntosh has the story.
Time just doesn't seem to slow Yaring Timmerman.
How old are you?
105.
Actually, he turns 105 next month. No matter, at his age, he's the world's oldest Masters swimmer. With this race, he's adding a new page to the record book.
I'll be the only one that will have a world record at 105 because no one else has them at this time.
Until now, the oldest age category recognized in Masters swimming was 100 to 104. By simply competing, Timmerman establishes a whole new age bracket, 105 to 109, and by default, world records in each of his events.
Now, he already has 4 records in a younger age bracket, 100 to 104. He started competitive swimming at age 79 and swims twice a week to train.
But it's a challenge. That's what it is. So that's why I swim. It's a challenge.
Sure, his doctors have told him to stop. He has torn ligaments in his shoulder.
That's what they call a swimmer's shoulder. I got that when I was about 100.
But he just changed his stroke. His son isn't worried.
I think him always having had a goal and working to achieve something probably has given him longevity.
Take your mark.
He's actually swimming 2 races for 2 records, 50 meters each.
Go, Yari!
He doesn't look all that fast, as much younger swimmers clearly outpace him. But keep in mind, his only competition is himself. And just listen. Yes, last to the wall, but first to accomplish an extraordinary feat. Just don't count on him trying to set any more records.
I think it'll be the end. 105, 102, 109. That is pretty old, you know.
And pretty inspiring. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, Winnipeg.